God promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob a special land, a land flowing with milk and honey. This land was Canaan. The Israelites, descendants of Abraham, were on their way there. After escaping slavery in Egypt, they journeyed through the wilderness. Now they were close to Canaan, but they didn't know what awaited them. Was it truly a land of abundance? Moses, the leader of the Israelites, had a plan. He was a wise and experienced leader, having guided his people through many trials and tribulations. Now, as they stood on the brink of entering the Promised Land, he knew that careful preparation was essential. He chose 12 men, one from each tribe of Israel. These men were not just any men, they were representatives of their people, chosen for their wisdom, courage, and leadership qualities. Each tribe had its own unique characteristics and strengths, and these men embodied the best of their heritage. These men were leaders, strong and brave. They had proven themselves in various ways, whether through battle, negotiation, or their ability to inspire and lead others. Their determination was evident in their eyes, and they understood the gravity of the task ahead. They were to be the scouts. Their mission was not just a simple reconnaissance. It was a journey that would test their endurance, their perception, and their ability to bring back crucial information. They had to be meticulous and observant, noting every detail that could affect their people's future. Moses instructed them, "Go up into the Negev." The Negev was a harsh and arid region, a true test of their survival skills. It was a land of extremes, where the sun beat down mercilessly during the day and the nights could be bitterly cold. "Then go up into the hill country," he continued. The hill country was different, with its own challenges and opportunities. It was a land of rolling hills and valleys where the terrain could be both a friend and a foe. The scouts needed to understand the lay of the land, its resources, and its potential for supporting their people. "See what kind of land it is," Moses instructed. The quality of the land was paramount. Was it fertile and capable of sustaining crops and livestock? Or was it barren and inhospitable? The scouts had to assess the land's potential for agriculture, water sources, and other vital resources. "Are the people strong or weak?" he asked. The strength of the inhabitants would determine the level of resistance the Israelites might face. Were they a formidable force with well-trained warriors, or were they a weaker, less organized group? Are they few or many? The number of people living in the land would also be a critical factor. A large population could mean a significant challenge, while a smaller population might be easier to overcome or negotiate with. Is the land good or bad? The overall quality of the land was a crucial consideration. Was it a land of plenty, with abundant resources and fertile soil? Or was it a land that would struggle to support a large population? Do they live in camps or in fortifications? The living arrangements of the inhabitants would provide insight into their level of organization and defense capabilities. Camps might indicate a nomadic lifestyle, while fortifications would suggest a more settled and potentially more formidable society. How is the soil, fertile or poor? Are there trees? The fertility of the soil and the presence of trees were vital for agriculture and building materials. Fertile soil would mean the potential for bountiful harvests, while trees could provide wood for construction and other uses. The scouts were to bring back fruit from the land. This was not just a symbolic gesture, it was a tangible proof of the land's potential. The type and quality of the fruit would give the Israelites a glimpse of what they could expect if they settled there. This was an important mission. The information the scouts gathered would shape the future of the entire nation. Their findings would influence the decisions of Moses and the leaders, and ultimately determine whether the Israelites would move forward with confidence or face new challenges. Their report would determine the fate of the Israelites. The weight of this responsibility was heavy on their shoulders, but they were ready. They knew that their people were counting on them, and they were determined to fulfill their mission with diligence and courage. The 12 scouts set out. They traveled north into the land of Canaan. They saw the cities and the people. They saw the fields and the vineyards. They saw for themselves what kind of land it was. They spent 40 days exploring the land, gathering information and observing the inhabitants. The scouts returned to the camp of Israel. They carried with them figs, pomegranates, and a single cluster of grapes so large it had to be carried on a pole between two men. Reporter, we went into the land where you sent us. It truly is a land flowing with milk and honey. Here is its fruit. But then, the report took a turn. What started as a hopeful exploration quickly turned into a tale of dread and uncertainty. 10 of the 12 scouts were filled with fear. Their hearts pounded as they recounted their experiences, their voices trembling with anxiety.
However, the people who dwell in the land are strong, and the cities are fortified and very large. The walls seemed to touch the sky, and the gates were impenetrable. We even saw descendants of Anak there. These were no ordinary people. They were giants, towering over us with an intimidating presence.
The Anakim were known for their size and strength. Legends spoke of their might, and now, seeing them in person, the scouts' fears were confirmed. Fear spread through the camp as the scouts continued, their words painting a picture of an insurmountable challenge. The once hopeful atmosphere turned somber.
We felt like grasshoppers in their sight, and so we must have seemed to them. The sheer size of these giants made us feel insignificant, and our confidence waned.
The land of Canaan, which was supposed to be a land of promise, now seemed like a land of peril. The scouts' report cast a shadow over the entire camp. Around the campfires, whispers of doubt and fear grew louder. The people questioned their ability to conquer such a formidable land.
Yet amidst the fear, there were voices of determination. Some scouts believed that with courage and faith, they could overcome the giants. The leaders pored over ancient scrolls and maps, seeking guidance and reassurance. They knew that the path ahead would not be easy.
As the sun rose over the camp, a new day brought a glimmer of hope. The challenge was great, but so was their resolve. The Israelites began to prepare for the journey ahead, packing supplies and readying their weapons. They knew that unity and faith would be their greatest strengths. Families clung to hope, teaching their children the importance of bravery and trust. The future was uncertain, but their spirit remained unbroken.
We must not let fear dictate our actions. With faith and courage, we can conquer this land and fulfill our destiny.
The camp buzzed with activity, a renewed sense of purpose driving them forward. The giants were formidable, but the Israelites were determined to face them head-on. The land of Canaan lay before them, vast and full of potential. The journey would be arduous, but the promise of a new beginning fueled their resolve. Only 2 of the scouts, Joshua and Caleb, disagreed.
We should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it. The Lord is with us. He will give it to us.
But the hearts of the people were hardened by fear. The negative report, fueled by fear, drowned out the voice of faith.
The Israelites grumbled against Moses and Aaron. They were frustrated and scared, feeling lost in the wilderness. Their journey had been long and arduous, and their faith was wavering. They couldn't see the bigger picture and were overwhelmed by their immediate struggles. "If only we had died in Egypt," they cried. The fear of the unknown was consuming them. They remembered the familiarity of Egypt, even though it was a place of bondage. The uncertainty of their current situation made them long for the past, no matter how harsh it had been. Why is the Lord bringing us to this land only to die by the sword? They questioned the purpose of their journey, doubting the promises that had been made to them. The fear of potential danger overshadowed their trust in divine guidance. They couldn't understand why they were being led into what seemed like a perilous situation. It would be better for us to go back to Egypt. They yearned for the security they once knew, even if it meant returning to a life of slavery. The fear of the unknown was so powerful that it clouded their judgment and made them forget the suffering they had endured in Egypt.
Their fear was so great, they were ready to abandon the promise of God. They were on the brink of giving up on the journey to the promised land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Their fear made them lose sight of the hope and future that had been promised to them. They forgot the miracles God had performed in Egypt, parting the Red Sea and providing for them in the wilderness. The miraculous events that had once filled them with awe and faith were now distant memories. Their current fears overshadowed the incredible acts of deliverance they had witnessed. They forgot how they had been saved from the clutches of Pharaoh, how the Red Sea had parted to make way for their escape, and how they had been sustained in the harsh wilderness. The power of fear had made them forget the power of faith and the miracles that had brought them this far. Fear can be a powerful force, capable of making us forget the blessings and miracles in our lives. It can cloud our judgment and make us long for the past, even if it was filled with hardship. But it's important to remember that fear is just a feeling, and it can be overcome with faith and trust in the journey ahead. Because of their lack of faith, God decreed that the Israelites would wander in the wilderness for 40 years. An entire generation, those who had witnessed God's power yet chose fear, would not enter the Promised Land. Only their children and Joshua and Caleb would cross the Jordan River and inherit the land God had promised. The story of the 12 scouts is a powerful reminder of the importance of faith. It teaches us that fear can paralyze us, blinding us to the promises of God. It also highlights the courage of those who stand firm in their belief, even when surrounded by doubt and fear. The Israelites' fear delayed their entry into the Promised Land. However, it did not negate God's promise. Despite their lack of faith, God remained faithful. The story serves as a powerful reminder that God keeps his promises. Even when we doubt, his love and faithfulness endure.